rat enthusiast, Professor Ed Burmilla.
Thanks, Luke. It's great to be back at Caledonia. No one saw the last show? Okay. So I have one joke I can only tell in Athens. It's an Athens-specific joke, so you're going to have to bear with me for a second. So there's this band called Grape Soda, right? And they're really cool. But if they're called Grape Soda, how come all their fans are white? Yeah, it's funny because I'm a terrible person. Everybody's been great tonight. This has all been really, really funny, and you guys have been in a laughing mood, which is surprising because of yesterday. You know, it was a long, somber, depressing day. I was watching TV all day, and everything was just making me sad. I'm talking, of course, about the fact that yesterday was National Waffle Day. Never forget. IHOP was an inside job. Hey, so we narrowly missed a hurricane. I have a question about that hurricane. Why did they issue an evacuation order for the Jersey Shore before the hurricane hit? Those are the exact people God's trying to murder. He went through the trouble of sending a hurricane. The least you could do is keep them in a centralized location. Scatter them, Barack. Just saying, there were no earthquakes when Bush was president. So I don't have the sunniest outlook on life. I've been accused of being something of a pessimist. Maybe not the most fun person to be around most of the time. There's like two people pity laughing, like, I know he's horrible. You know, people are always telling me that I hate everything and it makes me difficult to be around, and that's not true at all. I don't hate everything. I only hate things that are terrible, and I don't have any control over the amount of terrible things that exist in the world. See, for example, it's not up to me how many albums Grizzly Bear puts out. I'm not the person who gave a green light to True Blood, okay? And right now you're thinking to yourself, but Ed, I like those things. And here's the problem. You like shit. And it encourages them to make more of it, to come and chip away at what remains of my psyche. So really, the only problem with me and my attitude is you. You're thinking that doesn't make any sense, but somebody bring a chalkboard up here and I'll show my work, the logic, it's flawless. You want to do some proofs? I'll do some proofs. So speaking of horrible shit, there's an election coming up. Yeah! Listen to that enthusiasm for democracy ripple through the room. Of course, the best thing about the upcoming election is that it guarantees that for another year, and maybe even a few extra months beyond that, we'll get to hear every day what Sarah Palin has to say. Isn't that exciting? There's a fun game you can play during the election season. You read a statement and ask your friends to guess whether it's a Sarah Palin quote or Mars Volta lyrics. Only the sharpest mind can distinguish between the two, but really, if you need a cheat sheet, if it's got a hovercraft in it, it's probably Mars Volta. I bought Going Rogue on Amazon, and the little thing popped up when I checked out that said, customers who enjoyed this book also purchased a rope and a stool. God, just listening to her talk, it's a psychedelic experience. It's like reading something written in wingdings. I know this says something. I know the code has meaning. She's accused of abusing the English language. That's not true. She doesn't abuse it so much as she lures it into the woods and fingers it. The hand motion makes the joke, doesn't it? I was going to throw in a clown suit, but I figured, nah, I'll just be fucking creepy. Some of you out there don't like Sarah Palin, probably because you're terrorists, or at least you hate America and you're thinking about taking up terrorism. But don't worry. The Republican Party has heard your concerns, and they released a new model. It's called Michelle Bachmann. Michelle Bachmann is the Sarah Palin for people who think Sarah Palin's just a little too intellectual. People who look at Sarah Palin and think, you know, I could get into that, but can you dumb it down a little? It's just a little over my head. There are too many multi-syllabic words for me. For those of you who don't know, Michelle Bachmann's a member of Congress from Minnesota / crazy person who's running for president. Oh, got strangely silent.
You bummed us out, Ed.
I bummed everybody out. Yeah, I'm good at that. Well, she's taking time out of her very busy schedule, picking the corn out of her own shit, gluing it back on the cob, and eating it a second time, which is hard, thankless work, but somebody's got to do it. What's wrong with you? She says God talks to her. Everybody gather around, sit on Uncle Ed's knee, and I'm going to give you some useful life advice. Okay? God told me, followed by, I don't know, anything, is one of those phrases that should be a red flag to you. Alarm bells should be going off. You should be getting skeptical. Like when you hear a phrase like, starring Owen Wilson. Okay? Yeah. Go rent Marley and Me and you'll know why he tried to kill himself. Then rent Marmaduke and you'll wish he had succeeded. It's funny because I wish he was dead. My favorite part about Michelle Bachmann, though, bar none, is her husband, Marcus. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Marcus Bachmann is a great big tub of goo in a cheap suit who runs a homosexual reparative therapy clinic in Minnesota, or as Nate put it before he started singing those songs, pray away the gay, which is funny on its face, right? Because it's ridiculous, and it's stupid, and it's antiquated, and it doesn't make any sense. But it's even funnier once you've seen or heard Marcus, and you realize he's gayer than a Mardi Gras parade. Seriously, the guy's like a walking French horn solo. Didn't really think that was going to be the laugh line, but I'll take it. If he was any more of an old queen, he'd be on the back of British money. See, now that one I knew would work. I'm a terrible person. So what I like to do, and what I would like you to do for the rest of this election season, you're going to see a lot of her, you can't avoid it, so here's how you deal with it when you see Michelle Bachmann. Every time she appears on camera, I just want you to picture her and her gay husband, Marcus, having sex. And right now you're thinking to yourself, Ed, that's disgusting, that's terrible, I don't want to picture it, but that's why I'm going to walk you through it. So every time you see her on TV, up in front of a microphone, talking about how dinosaurs weren't real or something like that, I want you to picture the 4 times her and her husband have been ordered by God to have sexual intercourse. I want you to picture her bent over whatever item of furniture you want to use in your fantasy, with her nose buried in a large print children's edition of Atlas Shrugged, while her big, fat, naked husband waddles up behind her like a Nazi being led to the gallows at Nuremberg, slaps a picture of Jonathan Taylor Thomas on her back, rides her like a lawnmower missing a wheel. 5 or 10 minutes into it, he loses his semi, so they're done. Or are they? They switch positions. Marcus takes his place on the furniture. Michelle straps on a big dildo, the tip of which is painted up to look like Newt Gingrich's face. She just takes one look to her God in the heavens and rams that thing home with no lube, unless blood counts as lube. And then she just pounds away at that big, pudgy walrus carcass that he calls a body. His crenulated, rippling waves of back fat shifting like the tides of the ocean as he stares across the room at a TV playing the Little League World Series on ESPN3. After 40 minutes of pure misery, he finally shoots his black, sludgy demon seed on the floor, and they go back to their dull, sexless lives. That's not really the kind of thing you should applaud, but thanks anyway. Gotta work some breathing into that joke next time. Maybe some fucking fentanyl or something. Politics does strange things to me, I'm sorry. I can't help it. But you know, I learn a lot from watching politics and spending most of my time studying it. You ever heard that old phrase that the enemy of your enemy is your friend? If that's true, every time I look on TV and see a video or a picture of a Tea Party rally, if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, I realize I'm really good friends with books and diabetes. That's all I got for you. Thanks.